life are not always the bad things. They're usually the good things that you want in your life. Now, you can take that in many, many ways that you want. For instance, you can be so focused on becoming, let me put it in a way, prosperous, or in a particular way in Christianity, that you forget that there's an assignment for you in Christianity. Am I making sense? And you find out that that's what we do. We run to church every time trying to be blessed. Yet God told us that we were meant to be a blessing. Am I making sense? And so we can focus on trying to be blessed and forget the assignment of being a blessing. I don't know about you, but the older I get, there were some things I was chasing after when I was 20 or 21. Cars, that's one of them. As a young man, I got a car when I was in university. I got to university at the age of 16, I think, yeah. And then I got a car within 2 years of being in university. So I got a car since the age of 18. My first car was a Volkswagen, yellow, to show you how odd it was. And I remember the next thing I was dreaming about was which car I was going to get after that, and which car I was going to get after that, and which car, come on, who knows what I'm talking about? But you know, right now, I couldn't care less what car I drive. I don't even like driving. So as you get older, you find that the things you were chasing after those days suddenly don't become important to you. So in Christianity, you're supposed to grow up also in a way where this blessing, I want to be blessed, I want to be blessed. Well, what did you do with the life I gave you is what Jesus is going to ask you. Are you here? All right? Now, and now this may not fit very, very well with our country, because I was saying this with Ms. Ifatoroti yesterday, that some of these things are difficult for me to explain to people here in this country because we're not up to that standard yet. But I couldn't change the quote because they're not mine. It says, one of the reasons that we have so little that becomes great is that we don't have great schools, principally because we have good schools. Now, it's a bit of fun because we don't really know what good is. It's relative. You know what I mean? But the problem is that once you are satisfied with wherever you are, you tend not to want to ask for more. We don't have great government because we've had good government. It's just comparing. For instance, people don't attain great life because they settle for a good life. Companies never become great because never become great precisely because they've become quite good. And that becomes a problem. All right? So this is the question we need to ask ourselves. Why is it so easy for us to settle for good? Do we have a natural tendency to move towards a state of apathy? This is the quote from one of the head founders of IBM. Whenever an individual or a business decides that success has been attained, progress automatically stops. I remember my first iPhone. Pastor Gandhi, it wasn't iPhone, iPad. I couldn't care about the iPhone. It was the iPad. I was in this church when the iPad came out. I was very excited. So I called Pastor Gandhi in the States and I said, I've got to get one. And somehow we managed to wrangle it around. A friend of mine paid for it, and of course I gave the Naira equivalent to somebody here in Nigeria. Pastor Gandhi brought it to Lagos. I was so excited. So I went to pick up, can you imagine driving from Lagos to Ibadan to go and pick up an iPad? Don't you feel ridiculous? But then petrol wasn't 150, so I mean it was much cheaper. It was not a big deal. So I drove to Lagos, got to his hotel, and we sat there. They connected the internet. They gave me a room that night, and I spent that whole night just enjoying the iPad, and it was wonderful. Abi? And I thought I'd arrived, and I came back, and it was the tool that has transformed everything I do till today. But I remember how painful it was when iPad 2 came out. Who's here? Come on. How many of you seen the Camry? The Camry, when the Camry came out, Toyota Camry. I mean, it was the love of all. I mean, how about the Honda? The Honda. I remember that when it came out. I was like, wow, I got to get this car. And then Honda 2010 comes out. You wonder, why did I not buy? Why did I not wait? Then as soon as you said, I'm going to wait till 2010, 2011 Honda comes out. And then the iPad 3, and then the iPad 4, and then now we have iPhone 7. And then we now have I don't even know what number we're on the iPad anymore. But the point I'm trying to make is, don't you see that it's almost counterintuitive to continue to improve something when you've cornered the market? But it's not. They're showing us that we should never, ever be satisfied with where we are. But if we were the ones who made iPad in Ibadan in this church, nobody would, we won't think about iPad too. iPhone, forget about iPhone. Who's doing iPhone? Or, you know what I mean? Once you just do something and you're successful. How many of you know that the lady who has been frying akara in front of your house has been frying it the same way since you were a kid? How about how we pounded yam? There's something about us. I don't know what it is. We just like to just stay somewhere. I remember, whenever we wanted to do our house or anything, I'll always tell my wife or something like, or people with my family at that time, I don't want permanent furniture. And they'll be like, why? Because I want to be able to come back and tweak it a little bit, change it around a little bit. It's like making your bed out of cement. You can't move it. I don't know if you get the point I'm trying to make. So there's something about us that resists this idea that whatever I'm doing now, I can do it better tomorrow. Because you can. The Bible talks about you and I are supposed to be going from one level of glory, am I right? Talk to me now. To another level of what? Why? If the two levels were the same, why would you need to go from one level of glory to another level of glory? We're stuck. We're stuck. Whenever an individual or business decides that success has been attained, whenever a church, now, you see, the problem with us is that we always attribute success. Let me leave that, okay? Let's look at some things. How many times have you seen this occur in different aspects of life? Do you aspire to individual or business greatness, or are you willing to settle for good? Where have you decided that you are already successful, and what processes do you have for overcoming complacency and apathy? One of the things we find out that there's this particular story I heard many years ago about this particular king who went to attack another country. And they went in maybe several ships, about 10 or 12 ships. I can't remember how many ships. It's a very famous story about warfare. As soon as they got into the country they came to fight, they put all their ships at the shore, and all the troops came off the ship. And you know what the king did? He burnt the ships. He just burned them. And so it was either you overcame the people you came to fight, or you died. But the issue of escape was completely removed from the equation. We're afraid to do that. We're afraid to do that. I don't want to try iPad 2 just in case it doesn't succeed. I don't want to change the color I don't want to improve my product just in case. That's paralysis. Fear comes from that. Are you here? Are you saying, or are you saying we're doing okay? We're a good company. We're just fine. There's nothing we should improve on. If that's it, apathy has set in. All right? And this is something, I thought it was John Maxwell that actually said this. I was shocked to find out that it was Arthur Ashe that said it. It's success is a journey, not a destination. This is the illusion. When I get into secondary school, I'll be happy young woman. You enter secondary school, you're not happy. Okay, when I enter university, I'll be happy. You get to university, you're not happy. It's okay. When I graduate, I'll be happy. You graduate, you're not happy. When I get married, which is the worst one, I'll be happy. You get married and you're not happy. You find out that throughout your life, you keep postponing your happiness and your success because you think it's a place you arrive at. But she's saying here that success is not what you end up with. It's the journey you make. I was telling you the other time that when I was traveling, I had the opportunity to go to Detroit, and my ticket said Lagos London, London, Detroit, Detroit, London, London, Lagos. That's my journey, right? And so when the Lord asked me, where is your destination? The answer should have been where? Lagos, right? So he says, okay, why don't you drive to the Lagos toll gate and come back, and you would have reached your destination? Because it's still Lagos you're going to end up in. No, success is when I'm able to go from Lagos to London, do what I'm supposed to do in London, go to Detroit, do what I'm supposed to do in Detroit, and then come back to London, do what I'm supposed to do in London, and then get back to Lagos and fulfill. That's what makes my journey successful. Not this country I'm in or this place I'm standing in. Am I making sense? And for too long, success has been packaged to you and I as a place where we have a Jeep outside, and then we have a beautiful house, and our kids are all around us, and we take these photographs from Facebook, which is frozen, by the way, in time. The day you are all happy on that photograph is frozen in time. You probably never get it again. But it's on Facebook page. Everybody thinks you're happy every day. Don't look at Facebook page and think people are happy. They are not. They were happy when they took the photograph. But you go there, people are always happy. This family, they're always happy. They're not always smiling. But success is my ability to do what I'm supposed to do today. So if I'm able to improve a product that I'm already working on today, I am successful. If I'm able to do my job better and more efficiently today than I did it yesterday, then I'm more successful. If I can increase my ability to sing or my opportunities in life and service, I am successful today. Amen? However, when I look back at my collective days of individual success, not only does it guarantee me future success, it helps me to see the progress I've made in life. That's why people pray asinine prayers. They sit down and say, Father, in the name of Jesus, let all my problems be over. And I say to them, check. The day all your problems are over, you are in a coffin. We're about to put you into the ground. How can you wake up without a challenge? We got to the office this morning. The projector was giving us a totally different display. We had 10-15 minutes to resolve it. We did. Guess what? We learned something. Yesterday, we couldn't have anticipated that problem for today. I don't know what problems I'm going to face tomorrow. One thing I'm guaranteed is whatever the problem I'm going to face tomorrow, whatever I learned today has equipped me to solve it what? Tomorrow. I'm going to stop because I think I can't go too far with this. I don't even know how many minutes I have left. Yeah. I don't know who said this. I think it was Demola Adewusi, but I'm not sure. So I put anonymous just to be safe so that they don't arrest him. And it scared me. No nation can develop more than the level of its civil servants. Have you been to our civil service? Have you been to our civil service in this country? Have you been to our civil? Have any of you ever been to a ministry in this country to go and get a document? Have you seen how badly we run things? It's still operating. How many of you heard what Biodu said last week? That the justice, the Oyo State Justice, whatever they call them, judiciary, they had their first retreat in 21 years with the new justice minister. They've never had retreats. Meanwhile, the person who came to do the retreat does 4 retreats a year in his office. You know what I mean? It's something they are used to. This was 21 years. You've been in an office for 21. There's never been a retreat to evaluate. There's never been a retreat to sit down. There's never been training programs to improve your life. There's never been training to make you more efficient. I have a little small sister who works with World Health Organization or World Health Organization, I think, or United Nations. I can't remember. They wanted to computerize our Nigerian borders at, the Nigerian borders. So the world, or United Nations donated computers, solar panels, what they call those things, inverters, for every border. Set up beautiful offices, set everything up, put it there, so that they could now use computers to gather data for people crossing the border so that they won't have to be doing it. A year later, they went back. The computers were still in their wrappers. They were still in their wrappers. They had not unpacked anything. They just dumped it there. The guys could not make the transition between paper data collecting into computer. So even the United Nations didn't do their research properly to know whether we had people who could enter the data into the computer. I'm going to stop. Because I was going to talk to you about the law of the pursuit of greatness. Because it's more. Let me just show you a chart. I think that's probably better. It's amazing. I don't know who came up. There's so many people who they say that different people who said it. I don't know who actually came up with this, and I'm not going to talk about it too much. But it talks about 4 states that we are in. One of them is unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know. What Yorubas will call Ode. Am I right? He doesn't know that he's a fool. So you're not angry with him because he doesn't even know that he's a fool. Am I making sense? You're not upset with him. He doesn't know. He doesn't have an idea. Maybe Mr. Faturity will take this a little further after I finish all this. You're unconscious. You don't even know you don't know anything. Then suddenly you are exposed. You cross what they call the bridge of discovery, where you finally say you are consciously incompetent. Now, you now know that you don't know. You see, we were taught. I remember the old thing was, if you don't want to give a man, what was that famous thing we used to say? Don't give a man fish, teach him to fish, right? That was a start. Don't give a man fish, teach him to fish. In other words, help him to learn how to do the thing. Now we have to take it a little bit further. Teach him how to own the ocean, how to, you know what I mean, produce a fish factory. Don't teach him how to fish alone. Am I making sense? Because when you teach him how to fish, he's only feeding himself and his family. Why don't you teach him how he can feed and empower the whole neighborhood? So you see growth in knowledge. Am I making sense? Okay? Now, so you get to this place where you are consciously incompetent. You now know that you don't know. You don't know, but you know that you don't know. You are now aware of what you don't know. Are you here? Then there's another level that's called the bridge of change, which you become consciously competent. Now you are growing and you begin to know things. You are purposefully developing yourself. You are learning, you are acquiring skill, you are getting knowledge, and then you now become consciously competent. You know what you are capable of doing. That stage can actually go in by making that a lifestyle for yourself, by making sure that you constantly develop a habit. Just these 12 habits we're teaching you, of constantly learning and changing and developing yourself and learning something new. You suddenly become unconscious of what you know. You become unconsciously competent. You just do things and you don't even know that you have the capacity to do it. But the problem with that stage is that if you become complacent, you come back to being unconsciously incompetent again. You graduated from school, and this is what pains me the most. They told us when we graduated from school, we didn't need to learn anymore. But true learning started the minute we graduated. I have read more books after school, and I'm reading more books now than I've ever read in my life. As a matter of fact, I read more books this year than I read maybe in the last 2 years. And in the last 2 years, I read more than I read in the last 2 years. In other words, I'm saying that right now, the ability, the need to constantly learn new things and keep improving myself, especially in a world where technology is changing so fast. You will get yourself into the biggest mess you've ever had. As you are buying a computer right now that can do certain things, a new one who can do 10 times better than what you just bought has just been developed. If you are not aware of it, you are in trouble. Do you know that Facebook can recognize the picture of your friend on Facebook and tell you who it is? If you put a picture of somebody on your Facebook page and it's your friend and the person is on Facebook, Facebook will recognize it because it uses simple, even your Samsung phone has it. Face detection software. It just measures the proportion of your eyes to your nose, the nose to your eyes, to your shoulder, to that, and then it tells you who the person is, just by dimensions. That was something that companies were paying extremely high amount of money for 5 years ago to develop that, to protect their companies. Now it's given to you free on your Samsung phone. So if you were selling that equipment 5 years ago, what will you be selling today? How many of you remember you want to go to university abroad? There was this agency. They're all over the place, you know. Come, you want to apply for scholars. Now, who needs them? What about, how many travel agencies? How many travel agencies? Remember travel agencies? Big signboards, big billboards all over the country. Remember that? You wanted to buy a ticket, you have to go to a travel agent. Ticket, remember that? Pastor, what has happened now? You just sit on your computer. You'll be arguing with Virgin. I want to go on this date. You refresh. Go on this date. You know what I mean? And you're both, as a matter of fact, as the agent is telling you the price, you're telling him the price on your computer. Am I right? So if you were a travel agent and you didn't make that transition, what would you be doing? Paper tickets were overnight. Somebody came up with digital tickets. Paper tickets disappeared. If you were the one making tickets, what would you be doing? How about vinyl records and CDs? Your father was the chief engineer at EMI producing vinyl records, and all of a sudden CD came out. What happened to him? Okay? And while you are still celebrating that the son is now the new CD director, MP4s and MP3s and iTunes and downloads started happening, what would you be doing? Do you see why good is the enemy of your best? Listen to me. I was watching, of all programs yesterday, I was watching Grey's Anatomy. There was an episode of Grey's Anatomy yesterday, we started the day before. And the surgeon was teaching the older surgeons that the old style of letting your new surgeons watch you while you practice, you know what I mean? And then when they finish, they go back and has gone. They must start doing the surgery with you right now to minimize their errors. New method of teaching. How many of you remember you could cram your way through school and score an A1? Abi? But when you came to life, real life, what happened? Most people can't even write reports. So the education system has to change because the way children learn now. Listen to me, there was a professor who came here to speak at one of our Ideas Bridge platforms. He said to us there was a girl in his class a few years ago who, whenever he brought up a point for teaching during class, she put up her hand and said, "Prof, you got that wrong. It should be this, it should be that." He said he couldn't wait for her to graduate for 4 years. She was smarter than him because she had access to the internet. Today you can get a university, you can study in MIT, you can study in any of those top universities by sitting in your bedroom and paying for internet and stop putting stupid pictures on Facebook and learn with it. But what do? Which one are you here? I want to challenge you this morning. I want to challenge you this morning. I think I put something somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. These are just the descriptions of the different kinds of skills. The unconscious incompetence, you don't know what you're doing. I think I got that from Demola Deusi. I got all this from him, you know, and I have all of them here. You know? I think it was Demola that said this. He says, Jesus was called master only after 3 years of teaching his people. Grow your mind. Sharpen your mind. Broaden your mind. I keep telling people that Moses, Aaron, and her, nobody, no spirit told Aaron and her to give Moses a chair. No spirit, no Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit didn't say Aaron and her. Some of you are saying, I'm waiting for the Holy Spirit to direct me. He's coming. He's coming. Because he hasn't got anything better to do. He'll be directing you on how to make better bottles for your company. I'm waiting for the Holy Spirit to tell me what to do. Moses, Aaron, and her, they were both looking at Moses. Every time the man's hand came down, war was being won. Every time the boy said, let's do something about it. They brought out a chair and sat down. No spirit told them that. They observed. No, we don't teach that in church. No, the Holy Spirit will tell you. He will tell you how to put makeup on your face because he uses makeup. You know somebody that uses makeup that knows how to use makeup? Talk to me now. Huh? Those who understand dominate. Look at men like Albert Einstein. Look at Nehemiah, Isaac Newton. When you understand something, you become in charge. You become the one controlling it. When you can explain something. Those who know why, those who know how, work for those who know why. The entire world is data. Jesus feeding 5,000. You know, people are very funny. The Bible is a funny book. Jesus notes how many baskets. He says to me that there's an angel counting my hair when I brush it in the morning. Some of you women, you can imagine the kind of work you give to the angels every day when you brush your hair. They have to now count all the one you removed when you were cutting it and put a record in heaven. Heaven keeps data. You don't keep data. We don't have data. You want to find out something about Nigeria, go to CIA site, go somewhere else. You can't find anything. Data is not important to us. We don't think it's important. We don't want to know. First level of leadership is thought leadership. Daniel prayed after reading. How many of us have prayed after we read? Daniel's prayer came from reading. What is hidden in your life is in a book somewhere. Start with the Bible. Look for books that the Spirit draws you to. Second one is research. We don't do research. Find out. Find out. The world is using false research. How many of you know, if I ask you right now, and some of you I'm sure you're not interested, who's leading in the polls in America right now? Trump or Clinton? Nobody knows. You're going to say Clinton because you like Clinton. It's a bias. Those who like Trump will tell you it's Trump. No, nobody knows the truth. The only way we're going to know the truth is when the election results come out. Nobody knows because everybody twists their media to suit them. Last 4 years ago when it was Barack Obama and Romney, we all thought that Barack Obama was going to lose. I remember what one of the guys from Romney's place said when the results started coming out. He said Barack Obama was winning in some local governments that they didn't know in Romney's place existed. That's how good his grassroots whatever was. He got to places that Romney's people didn't know existed. Yet they told us on the polls that he was leading. Even Barack Obama said to himself he wasn't sure he was going to win. Because you can't control, you can't take, the world is using false. Anytime you want to present something, 60% of people who use our drug are going to do this. You take it and you take the drug because you don't know where the source of the information came from. But you don't have your own research. First Chronicles chapter 12 verse 3. Look at it. They researched the time. They chronicled the time. It says predict the times and the seasons. They influence kids. They dominated their thoughts. Research is important. We don't do that. Finally, discussions. And anytime somebody doesn't agree with you means you are enemies. In this country, I've never seen us as divided as that. Anytime somebody doesn't agree with you. Anytime somebody doesn't agree with you, he's your enemy. Yet the Bible says iron sharpens iron. Anytime. Listen to me. You need other people's points of view. You don't have to agree with them, but you can learn from their point of view, and it improves who you are. I mean, there are videos all over the place right now of women, how they get attachment for women's hair. Huh? Now, the videos will tell you that some of the hair that you're wearing are men's hairs. Because all they have to do is they grow their hair, and then they shave it off and sell it. You know, that's how they make their money, kids and so on and so forth. The problem is that which video are you going to believe? Because there are some people who do it decently well. You know, who do a proper job and give you good quality hair. And some people who do a horrible job. Everywhere is the same thing. They say don't eat certain cabbages because they're made in China because somebody has done. Yeah, that will always happen. It's whoever is controlling the media. Discussions talk out of the abundance of the house. The mouth speaketh. Of the heart. Out of the abundance of the heart. I'm going to stop. Problem solving. You see, this is the one we don't like. Problem solving. God has solved all our problems in the spirit. But we must solve problems here. Christians must problems in real life. Joseph and Daniel solved the real problems. Why don't you ask God to equip you in a way that makes you solve problems rather than run away from problems or divert them to the next generation? You know, there was a king that did that. Trouble was coming and he said, will I be alive when it happens? He said, no. He said, fine, let it come. Is that what you're doing? You know, some of us, I'm going to be 55 soon. Some of us, what are we leaving for our kids? What inheritance are we leaving for our kids? Now, I know inheritance doesn't have to be houses and cars and property. But what education are you giving them that will make them stand on their 2 feet when you've gone? Or have you already cut one off by sending them to Aberdeen's junior local government high school? Just because you don't want to give up not buying an iPhone or living in Bodija. What are you living for them? And if you can leave property for them, good. But if you don't teach them character, they will sell that property and waste the money. So you're wasting your time. Problem solving. Stop running away from it. The power to create wealth. Intellect, your will. It's the battlefield of spiritual warfare. Without a sharp discerning mind, we're not going to do the will of God. Pauline prayers were all about knowledge and understanding. Questions are an answer waiting for expression. I can go on and on and on and on and on like that. And I got to stop. But I want to challenge you this morning. I don't care what business you are in. I don't care what profession you are in. It doesn't matter what it is. You're a teacher in school. How can I teach these kids better? You run an event center like me. How can I serve my customers better? You make a product or a service. How can I make it better for them? If you work in a bank, how can I make the bank more efficient? How can I deliver better quality service? Doesn't matter what you're doing now. There is always a better way of doing it tomorrow. That journey of getting better anyway is going to bring you incredible success. Mr. Fatorji was teaching me yesterday that sometimes a little increase here, a little increase here, a little increase here, not big increases. I mean, a little increase here, a little increase here in your life, maybe a little increase in developing the way you read, a little bit improving your skill here, a little bit in discipline here. But when the impact comes into your life, it gives you a huge raise. But constant. As a matter of fact, I've asked, how many of you remember our chairman of our anniversary committee, Mr. Erabo? He went to Japan and they exposed him to Kaizen. Kaizen is the Japanese equivalent of what we're talking about now. I've asked him to come one of these Sundays to come and share with you about what they taught him in Japan. About this constant and ever increase. You know, do you know what happened? The Japanese, listen to me. But how many of you know after Hiroshima, the Japanese went to America, learned about the assembly plant of cars. Do you know that? Do you know that? So they went back and built the Toyotas and the Datsuns. Can you remember that? Were you all here? Now, not only did they take back the Ford Motor Company method of building cars, the Japanese sat down and improved on it. Not only did they improve on it so much that the Americans are going to Japan to learn how to improve motor services. You don't even have to be the origin. But you can improve on it. You become incredibly valuable. The Japanese, the Americans are going, as a matter of fact, the most successful plants. Someone say, how do you know these things? I read. If a prostitute could know what was happening in Egypt and happening in Israel in Joseph's time, if she knew what was happening around the economy, then if you're not a prostitute, you should know. How do I know these things? I read. The most successful car companies, even in Detroit today, are using the Japanese model. Something they didn't originate, something they improved on. And then they'll send the bad ones to us in Nigeria and we'll rejoice. That's what they do. Let's bow our heads. I'm done. And for those of you, I'm not going to be saying, I'm going to take a holiday, a break after the maths program on Wednesday. That's why you see I'm preaching with all my energy this morning. I need a break, and I'm taking one. I want to go see my son. That's my excuse. But I was with Dr. Bib yesterday, the day before yesterday. He came to my office to talk. And I kept telling him the reason why I didn't travel all this time was the price of tickets is ridiculous. Why waste so much money traveling? You know what Dr. Bib said to me? He said, Pastor, so is the price of medical care, hospital bill. So it's either you either travel, use your money to travel, and enjoy yourself and relax and get better. You know what I mean? And rest. Or you come and spend it in my hospital and we'll collect it from you. I got wise immediately. Because sometimes you're trying to balance your life in a stupid way. Yeah, I'm trying not to spend. I thought, if I had $1 million, I'll fix the TVs, I'll fix the entire lamps over there, I'll do everything I want to do in this place. And the place will be looking better. I'll be dead. Too tired to even stand up. So I'm going to take a break. So I want to pray for you before I go. Those of you who are first service people. You're better than this. You know that. You're better than this. Don't listen to the lie of the devil. The color of your skin makes absolutely no difference. The country which you were born in makes no difference. There's a doctor being celebrated online today, Nigerian doctor. I don't know if it's true. That's why I don't usually talk so much about it. But I think it might be because the president is meeting him, President of America. He took out a baby, fixed the mother, and put the baby back in the womb successfully. And he's a Nigerian. Same local government as some of you. We've had a few, Pastor Ladino's brother doing surgeries that are crazy. He's in Australia, right? Doing crazy surgeries. And he learned. That's the advantage we have. If there's something unique about us Nigerians, when we learn something, hi, they know they have competition on their hands. Once we Nigerians learn something, when Zuckerberg came to Lagos, he said some of the most brilliant people working with him in America are Nigerians. We've just, the lies they've told about us, the way we've packaged ourselves and what we've come to believe is affecting us. We are such great people. Once we learn, our professors do surgeries here in the UK. There was a lady who they flew from Lagos, private jet to London. They brought her in, put her on oxygen map, kept her stable. Then they said, what's wrong with you? They said, the doctor that's going to treat you is in Nigeria and he was in Ibadan. You better go back. They flew her back. You want to spend dollars? Come and spend it. But the man that is going to treat you is in Ibadan, UCH. They flew her back. They stabilized her in the UK, flew her back. They treated her in UCH. She's fine. We're good. We're good people. Don't let them lie to us anymore. Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. I pray that we become who God has asked us to be. And I want to beg if you can wait for the second service. I'm going to show you a video of T.D. Jakes, an interview that I know will open up dimensions in your life you never saw before. Because when I watched, I finally understood me. You know, when somebody finally tells you who you are, I saw me. Because people have been asking me, why do you put your hands into so many things? I said, because he says, don't put a full stop where God has put a comma. He says, we let people define us, engineer, pastor. I remember when I was on radio, I would say I'm a pastor, I also run a business, and people will criticize me on radio. And I said, if you're a pastor, be a pastor, don't be a businessman. I'll be looking at them, but you want me to be as miserable as your other pastors? No way. Why can you do both? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Tell God you are ready to go forward in your career, even as a wife, you can cook that soup better tomorrow. Don't cook it the same way yesterday. And you can challenge your children that they can do something better. Your staff, we can do this better tomorrow. We can do this better tomorrow. We can be more efficient. We can cut down on the time. We can be more efficient. We can increase our margins. And once you taste it, you will never go back to being incompetent again. You will never be satisfied with it anymore. And please come and watch the movie today. Come and watch Sound of Music today. And let's see whether you don't get the cinematic experience. I'm promising you that. And we're going to use it with what we have. We're waiting for the other cinemas to be developed, but it's taking too long. So we're going to start with what we have. Come and watch Sound of Music today. Pastor Ladron.